Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Okay. Hello everybody, hello, hi, hello, welcome back. My name is Katie. Today I want to go through my 2021 most anticipated releases. I have probably 30 new releases coming out in the next year that I am extremely excited for. It is a whole mix of genres, mostly fantasy and speculative, both young adult and adult, but there are also contemporary, some historical, some sci-fi, some mystery thrillers. Overall, the list is pretty eclectic, if I do say so myself. I am filming this on December 5th, so if anything has changed and you are watching this maybe later in the month or in January 2021, things may have shifted a little bit. I also have, I think, 3 or 4 releases that simply have the year associated with them and don't have a specific date. So obviously those could get pushed, moved around. There's not too much information associated with those releases, but I am excited for them. So I wanted to talk about them. I will mention those at the end of the video since they don't have a month associated with them. The rest of the books I'm going to be going in chronological order. Fair warning, there are a handful of sequels on here, but the majority of them are new releases, first in a series. Let's just jump into it with January. First up, we have Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This comes out on January 12th, 2021, and I am so excited for this. Angie Thomas is the author of the young adult contemporary books The Hate U Give as well as On the Come Up, both of which I have read and absolutely adored both of them. These books were so good and honestly game-changing for YA, if I do say so myself. This isn't technically a sequel, it's a prequel. I would definitely recommend you read The Hate U Give before you jump into Concrete Rose. You should read The Hate U Give regardless, but I don't think you have to read On the Come Up to read Concrete Rose as far as I have seen. The main character in this book is Maverick Carter, who is the father of the main character in The Hate U Give. So that's where the crossover happens. We are following Maverick 17 years before the events of The Hate U Give in the late 1990s when he is 17 years old. Maverick is the son of a former gang leader and his father is actually in prison. His mother is working 2-3 jobs to keep the family afloat, so he feels like it's his responsibility to contribute to the family as well. The only way he knows how to do this is to join the King Lords, which is one of the prominent gangs in his neighborhood. But when he thinks he's got everything figured out and he's going to be able to provide for his family, he realizes that his girlfriend is pregnant. So we follow Maverick as he's navigating life and getting ready to be a father at 17. With this book being set in the late 90s, I am looking forward to see how Angie Thomas writes those kind of vibes, but also her writing of characters and family relationships is so strong, as well as her themes. I have such high expectations and I know she's not gonna let me down. Next, also on January 12th, we have the 6th book in the Wayward Children series, Across the Green Grass Fields. This is an adult portal fantasy. The first book is Every Heart a Doorway. It follows a home of children that's kind of a rehab center for kids who went to different worlds via portal. I'm actually a little bit tentative about this one because I was not a huge fan of the last book. I was kind of sick of that portal fantasy that we went into in that book, but I do want to continue on with this series. I really like Shauna McGuire's writing, and I think what she's doing is incredible and unique in the fantasy genre. Okay, I'm sorry. I tried to look so cute, but this headband is giving me a headache, so you get frizz-ball mess head for the rest of this video. But actually it didn't change the way I look at all. Like, I was frizzy before. Okay. On January 19th, we have Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore. This is the 4th book in the Graceling series, which is one of my all-time favorite YA fantasies. Graceling takes place in this world where people can be born graced with certain abilities, and in the first book, the main character, Katsa, she is graced with killing people. So she is kind of used by her uncle, who is the king, as his personal assassin to go and kill people that he wants her to kill. So that's who we follow in the first one. And then this is a companion series, so we follow different characters, but the same villain shows up in the first 3. So I'm curious to see how everything connects in Winterkeep, where we discover a brand new land, and that is kind of the main focus of this next book. If you have not read the Graceling series, I would highly recommend it. I honestly think it would hold up in today's standards, even though it is an older YA fantasy. Moving into February, on February 2nd, we have The Project by Courtney Summers. Courtney Summers wrote one of my all-time favorite YA books of all time. I'm pretty sure the more I think about it, the more I love it, and that is Sadie. So of course, when I found out she was coming out with another book in February, I had to add it to my list. This follows our main character, Lo, who was orphaned at a young age, and she is sent to live with her aunt because her older sister joins this charity that seems more like a cult called the Unity Project. Even though publicly the Unity Project is very charitable and well known for its good deeds that it does around the community, Lo is convinced that there is something sinister happening. So when a man shows up to her workplace, she works for a magazine, saying that the Unity Project killed his son, she finally has the ammunition to go and try and investigate and see what's really going on, and in hopes of saving her sister as well. So in this, I believe she comes across with the cult community leader, and her ideologies start to get muddled. I am so looking forward to this because Sadie, even though it is a young adult, Courtney Summers was not afraid to go there and get a little bit graphic and talk about difficult subjects. So I know that she's going to get gritty with this one, and I'm really interested to see where she takes it. Also on February 2nd, we have an adult science fiction called A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. This came onto my radar because Sylvain Neuvel is the author of the Sleeping Giants trilogy, which I absolutely loved. So this I've tried to explain in 4 different things, and I know that just reading blurbs isn't that interesting, but I am going to read a sentence in order to clearly articulate what this book is about. It says, over 99 identical generations, Mia's family has shaped human history to push them to the stars, making brutal, wrenching choices and sacrificing countless lives. Her turn comes at the dawn of the age of rocketry. Her mission, to lure Werner von Braun away from the Nazi Party and into the American rocket program and secure the future of the space race. But Mia's family is not the only group pushing the levers of history. An even more ruthless enemy lurks behind the scenes. A darkly satirical first contact thriller as seen through the eyes of the women who make progress possible and the men who are determined to stop them. Sounds pretty interesting. It already has pretty low ratings on Goodreads, but I am willing to give this a shot. Next, on February 9th, we have The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This is a YA fantasy that follows a young girl who lives in a village where there are blood ceremonies held to determine if people can stay in the village. The blood ceremony is if you are cut and you have red blood, you can stay in the village. If you are cut and you bleed gold, then you are considered impure and you face consequences worse than death. So of course our main character participates in the blood ceremony and bleeds gold, but on the night of her blood ceremony, she's approached by a woman who offers her the opportunity to run away and join an army of women just like her with gold blood to defend the emperor. She takes the chance and goes with this person, and I think things get wild from there. It seems like it's gonna be so much fun. I cannot wait for this book to come out. This is a debut novel, the first book in a series, and I'm just hoping that it wows me as much as I want it to. Okay, February 16th, would it really be a booktube anticipated releases if I didn't mention A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas? I'm not gonna talk too much about this, but I am a Court of Thorns and Roses fan, and except for Court of Frost and Starlight, that book was bad. But I am curious to see where Sarah J Maas takes Nesta as a character, and I'm really excited. If you don't know what I'm talking about, comment down below because I want to meet someone who has no idea what the Court of Thorns and Roses series is about. On February 16th, the 4th book in the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon is coming out, and I am hype. This is a very hard to genreify book series. It takes place in futuristic London, and there are paranormal elements. There's also dystopia elements. It's very, very good. I would highly recommend it. It's so incredibly unique. I guarantee you, you will have not read a book like this before in your life. My only book for March is actually Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. Gotta give a shout out to my favorite author. This is the second book in the Nikolai duology, which is a spin-off of the Grisha trilogy. Leigh Bardugo is fantastic. Would highly recommend her series. I'm really excited for the finale in this duology. I think it's gonna fit perfectly together. I'm happy for my girl. So I only have one release for March and no releases for April. If you guys have any anticipated releases for those months, please leave them down below because I don't obviously have that many books to read those months. Coming into May, I do have a lot of releases, starting off on May 4th with The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan Hay. This is a YA sci-fi futuristic post-apocalyptic kind of novel where we have one sister who wakes up on an island and she has no idea how she got there. She only has one memory, and that's to find her sister. So that's kind of the launch of her quest. The other character is a science genius, basically a STEM prodigy, and she lives in the Eco Center, which is the only last place inhabitable by humans on Earth. The only people technically allowed into this eco center are people that will contribute to saving the planet, basically. But she finds out that there are a lot of people willing to lie and deceit to get their way in. So I think she has to navigate that situation while also trying to save the Earth. This seems like a very interesting, different kind of dystopian sci-fi with environmental and climate change themes, and I'm all here for those. On May 4th, we also have 10 Truths and a Dare by Ashley Elston. She is the author of a really fun Christmas YA contemporary called 10 Blind Dates that I loved. And 10 Truths and a Dare follows a different character within the same family from 10 Blind Dates. 10 Truths and a Dare follows our main character, Olivia, who is really excited to go to university next year. She's in the last week of her senior year when she finds out that one of her PE credits, the form, didn't go through. So she has to figure out what she's gonna do in a week in order to get the credit. She finds a local golf tournament that she can volunteer at that gets approved, but she doesn't want to worry her parents. So I think there's going to be a lot of hijinks and like figuring out how to be in two places at once kind of vibes, and I'm so ready for it. Ashley Elston wrote this family and these characters so vibrantly that I can't wait to get back with them. Also on May 4th, we have Blade of Secrets by Trisha Levenseller. I have read Trisha Levenseller before. I haven't completed all of her works, but I enjoyed her pirate series, so I am looking forward to this. It follows a main character who is a blacksmith that accidentally takes the wrong commission and ends up making one of the most powerful magical swords in the realm. So she goes on the run to keep this out of the hands of bad people, and I think it's gonna be really fun and unique. You don't really see a lot of blacksmith characters in YA fantasy, so I am looking forward to this one. Coming out May 6th is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is an adult fiction / romance novel that follows a girl who falls in love with another girl on the subway, only to find out that this girl that she sees on the subway is from the 1970s. And it just seems right up my alley. I have not read Red, White, and Royal Blue before yet. It may ever, I don't know. But this one seems so fun and I'm definitely willing to check it out. Published on May 25th, we have The Ivies by Alexa Dawn. Alexa is also a YouTuber as well as an author, and I will link her down below. I've seen a few of her videos. I don't watch her regularly, but she does a lot of author-tuber stuff. Her two previous works have been science fiction, and I haven't read either of those, but this one seems really interesting, and I am curious to see where Alexa goes with it. This follows 5 girls at an elite prep school, and everyone calls them the Ivies because they all have the dream of getting into an Ivy League college, and they are willing to do whatever it takes. I believe this leads to a murder. I'm not sure if we know who does the murder. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. It seems really fun and vibey with the prep school setting, and I am curious because I don't love a lot of YA mysteries. I don't tend to gravitate that way, but Alexa does read a lot of adult mystery thrillers. I am curious to see if that translates at all. Also on May 25th, we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This author wrote the very popular, very beloved Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, as well as Daisy Jones and the Six, and a bunch of other books. I read and loved Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones. I've read one of her other works and didn't enjoy that one as much, but I think Taylor Jenkins Reid has found her vibe with these historical fiction dramas because Malibu Rising takes place in the 80s and follows a celebrity family who throws a huge party that ends in their house being caught on fire. I think this kind of vibe really works for her, and I am very, very excited. I think it's gonna be dramatic. It's gonna have some 80s vibes. I am ready for it. Moving into June, on June 1st, we have Better Together by Christine Riccio, obviously the most popular booktuber.
Hi, editing me here. I realized that I forgot to explain what this book was about, so I'm going to do that really quickly. I'll also link Christine's announcement down below because I'm sure she can explain it way better than me. But basically this is about sisters who, it's kind of Parent Trap-ish, where they are separated at a very young age and don't really know each other because of divorce. One of them is in Los Angeles, the other one is in New Jersey / New York City, and they are both kind of feeling like they're at a rut in their lives. So they unknowingly sign up for the same sort of retreat camp, adult summer campy thing, and I think they meet and see each other again and maybe switch places, things like that. So that is what it's about. Back to fancy me.
I am really curious to read her second novel. I did read Again But Better back when it came out last year, and I didn't love it, but I think there were some gems there. I honestly had a lot of the same criticisms as a lot of people did of Again But Better, and I'm definitely willing to give Christine one more shot just to see if she's kind of outgrown that sort of self-insert-y kind of vibe that Again But Better had. Next up on June 15th, we have Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury, another author tuber, I believe. I will link her down below. This sounds so fun. It is about a girl who has family magic. Their magic is inherited, and the only way that she can save the family magic is if she sacrifices her first love. But the problem is she hasn't been in love yet. So I believe this is going to go on a quest of her trying to find the perfect person in order to just sacrifice them, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. On July 1st, we have Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson, one of my favorite YA contemporary authors. This follows two best friends who are in their senior year of high school, and before they go off to college, they plan this perfect trip to New York City where they're gonna sneak out and do all of these wonderful things, when ultimately it culminates in a huge fight between them and they get separated. So the story follows these two friends finding their way back together physically and emotionally, friendship-wise, you know what I'm saying. Just slated for July 2020, Goodreads has The World Ends Here by Rory Power. I don't know anything about this book, just that it may come out in July, and it's Rory Power, so I'm willing to give it a shot. Also in July, doesn't have a set date, we have the Spice Road trilogy by Maya Ibrahim. And all this says is Kelsey Horton at Delacorte has acquired Maya Ibrahim's debut YA trilogy Spice Road, a fantasy set in an Arabian-inspired land where a nation of tribes famous for their spices are attacked by an occupying king after he discovers their secret tea magic. Secret tea magic. Secret tea magic! So that sounds really interesting, keeping that on my radar. July 6th, we have Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is an adult thriller, mystery thriller writer, and I've read every single one of his books. Survive the Night takes place in the 90s, I think 1991 specifically, and it follows two characters who are on the way home from college because the college has shut down after a serial killer, like after a series of murders, and the main character starts to assume or think that the person she is getting a ride from is this serial killer. And I'm definitely interested in a like contained thriller. It reminds me a little bit of No Exit by Taylor Adams, I think was the author, where they're snowed into a place and you're contained. So being contained in a car with just one other person, I am curious to see where he goes with this, because it would seem a little too obvious for him to actually be the serial killer, but I don't know. Riley Sager always has pretty good twists in my opinion, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Also on July 6th, we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This follows the princess of a kingdom who has secret magic, and she's always been able to control it except on the night of her wedding, where her powers come out and she actually kind of sees it as a reprieve from, you know, having to have an arranged marriage. She gets banished or something. She has to leave the kingdom and find other people of more of her siblings that have had this magic and have been banished. And while she is doing that, she finds out of a conspiracy against the throne. So I think it's gonna be a really fun, adventure-filled fantasy that I'm really excited for. Okay, I am going to stop in July because that is kind of 6-7 months. There aren't really a lot more releases. I might do another video in June or May or June of my anticipated releases for the second half of 2020, but I do really quickly want to go over my 3, like I said before, that don't have a month associated with them. They just have the year. Goodreads has an untitled Elizabeth Acevedo book that, of course, I love Elizabeth Acevedo, so I am hyped for, but there's no synopsis or anything. I'll put a screenshot up here. It just says untitled, published by Harper Teen in 2021. Also, the third book in the Gilded Wolves trilogy by Roshni Chokshi has a 21 tag on it. I'm not entirely sure, but I did just read The Silvered Serpents, which is the second book in that trilogy, and I absolutely adore it. The Gilded Wolves is amazing. If you picked it up because you thought it was going to be like Six of Crows and then was disappointed, put any thought of Six of Crows out of your mind and pick it up again, and I think you will enjoy it. Roshni writes such beautiful characters and character relationships, and the setting of this book, Paris way back when, with these secret societies and puzzles and symbols that you have to decipher, it's such a fun, wild ride. Finally, we have a historical fiction mystery thriller that I'm not sure if it is going to have fantasy elements because the other books that this author has written have all been speculative, but this is called Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse. And this again just says 2021, I think maybe spring 2021 is on here. A mystery based on the true story of the state of Sequoia becoming the 46th state of America in 1905, unifying 5 tribes around the area we know as Oklahoma, until a murder and theft of a train filled with gold threatens its fledgling government. That sounds really, really interesting to me, and I am in the middle of Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I also have acquired her most recent release, Black Sun, but this seems something different but also up her alley, which I am ready for. So those are some of my anticipated releases for the first half of the year. Let me know what some of your anticipated releases are down below. I am always on the lookout for some new books to add to my TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!